when did you get into the creator stuff? Because I checked out your podcast. Very
Yeah.
interesting. I've got a couple of questions around it because your editing is unique in a very, very good way. I can tell that you've clearly put a lot of thought into how to make it different to the million other podcasts that everybody and their dad has got, right? Um, Tell us a little bit about the pod.
Yeah. So the podcast is called First Class Founders, and it's essentially a place initially for me to share my learnings and my journey with entrepreneurship. But it's kind of evolved into this thing where now I have other people coming on and they're sharing their journey. But then what's interesting here is that I layer my own commentary and analysis
Yeah.
on top of the interview, and so I think this is a really unique and kind of a different selling point because I thought about all these. Obviously, you mentioned there's millions of podcasts out there now, and the one thing that I have that a lot of people don't have is that I'm actually in the arena, like doing stuff. Right,
Like
I'm
Rich
doing
Math.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Chamath. Yeah, I'm doing stuff where other people maybe just a creator who's not really done a lot, right? But I'm actually an entrepreneur and approaching eight figures in and annual revenue. So I have authority and an angle and a perspective of how business should be run for my own side. And so what I can do is once I have an interview with a guest, I'll go back and my producer and I will go through and add a narrative on top where essentially I'm almost like analyzing their perspectives. And I think that is kind of the interesting thing where it's like sometimes I disagree with them,
Yeah.
but I mean, most of the time I agree, but a lot of times I'll be like, okay, well, this is great for this specific circumstance, but I actually think for a beginner this might be better. Like I'll like add that commentary in, which is like not a lot of people have the experience to just do that, right? So I wanted to make it really unique, so I wanted to provide my own input into it.
Why don't you do video?
Oh, so the video, I want to do video, but the podcast. So if your listeners want, like, if you listen to the episodes, you'll see that it's very highly produced. It's got a lot of sound design. It's cut up. It's almost like an audio documentary,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's
Now
not
that you're
easy
saying
to
it,
do. Yeah,
I get it. Yeah, it would be very hard to video something like that unless it was like Mr. Beast level of effort, to make that really, really pop.
yeah, yeah. Maybe we'll get there. I
Yeah.
want to get to a stage where I can hand over the audio to an amazing video guy and they create some kind of crazy animation where I don't have to like basically record over again. But I haven't gotten to that level yet. But maybe soon.
It took me probably a decade of making content online in various forms to start seeing like a return from it and start to see good money from it. What about you? Have you found the creator thing? Obviously, you mentioned it was really, really valuable with the ecom model and partnering, perhaps affiliate links and that sort of thing, and sharing audiences and podcasts and newsletters. What about your pod and newsletter? Are you making money from these, or are these kind of there to help
Yeah,
put you in touch with great people to help supplement your other companies, like I basically do? How do you go about that?
it's all of the above. So what I've realized is that a podcast and actually having an audience is the greatest way to meet the coolest people. And it's so funny because I'm actually tonight I got invited to a private dinner tonight at an entrepreneur's house at his own house. It's a small group of other founders, and like he messaged me like a month ago because he saw my stuff on Personal Holdco, and he was like, "Hey, I never thought about this in this way, but I also have a personal Holdco." And this is the response that I get a lot. Alfie is like, "Oh, I also have a personal Holdco, but no one explained it this way."
Yeah.
And so he thought it was really cool, so he invited me to his house tonight. And so that's an example of like, if I didn't post that, like I would never have opened these doors, right? And so
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
that's a huge component that not a lot of people talk about. In terms of the other stuff, like um sponsorships, I've definitely started taking on those. And so they're kind of in the works. But long term though, I want to build a community where I'm selling, well, not selling my own products, but basically I want to create a community where um I want to build my own network. I want to build a network that I wish I had eight
Mm.
years ago when I started. and I want to bring people together, and I want that value to be like super super high. And so like that's something that I'm working on. But I mean, ultimately, you just have to be open minded because this journey is it can take you in ways that you never imagined. I'm sure you probably know already, but you just have to be open minded to see whatever comes to you, and then have a really good signal to noise kind of like filter and making sure that the opportunities like actually make sense.